everybody. Hi, your boy is back. This is Kings and Queens, and here we're talking about the latest and the hottest item. Ilhan Omar, as a person, what's going on? Yo, my people, if you're out there, let me know you're online. Let me know what's up, and let's get this going on. Microphone check 1 2. I hope you can hear me, and I hope everything is really fine and everything is really fly. Yeah, as you know, shop all good. 15th December, 10 days to Christmas. Things are really getting cooked up in the US. You really want to know what's going on? I'll give it to you as it is. There is a lot going on in the world today. Ukraine giving up its ambition of becoming a NATO member. It's in question. Is it possible? And then Middle East, the Israelis preparing to receive the last hostage body. Wow. Remember the October attacks? Yeah, the last body to be delivered in. And then across the world in Eastern Africa, away from the US and Ukraine, and away from the Middle East. The rumors are rife that the American government, this is really allegations. I don't believe this, but talk that the American government now has a land title of Congo, where the minerals are. And we shall get back to that later. So it's a lot going on around the world, and I hope you really please tap in that comment, tap in that like button. Let me know if you're online, and let's get this rolling. Yo, this is Kings and Queens, and my name is, as you know, Shiloh. Straight out of Africa to the rest of the world. You need to know the African perspective, uncensored, right here. Not attached to any media house, just the Kings and Queens talk. We talk what is trending, no strings attached. Our ideas are basically for entertainment, not court cases. So do not take me serious, but you could take me serious because I base on facts that I find running on the social media. Whatever is trending, if you know you need something to be discussed, please hit me up in the comments and in the comment section, and let's see how it's going. Hit me up. So what we have here today, we are talking about Ilhan Omar and her marriage certificate that shows that she's married to her brother. I mean, this typically African, isn't it? Very, very typically African. Typical African. But is it only the Africans who do that? I think somewhere in the Bible there was a man called Abraham. Abraham, the man of God, the friend of God. Yeah, one time he said that Sarah was his sister. And apparently, I hear she was really closely related to him. Was it, some versions say she was a niece, and the others say she was his stepsister. So it's not a new thing that someone could identify when entering a foreign land that this is my brother. Hey, no. The Abraham was actually married. Ilhan Omar was not married. So something is just not right here. I love America. I love what's going on in the US. You guys in the US are very entertaining. When we look at what is going on there, we really get entertained. Now, it's like reality is more interesting than Hollywood movies. I'm telling you that you guys, you need to be selling these reality things compared to Hollywood movies. I mean, people need reality right now. So let's go right into this. So we are talking about what happens when a sensitive personal document, a marriage certificate, tied to Representative Ilhan Omar, is waved into the public square by government actors, and what ripple effects it has for our whole immigrant community. We're talking about Somali specifically. Two framing points up front. These allegations about Omar's 2009 marriage have been repeated for years and were investigated and pushed back on by the mainstream, fact checkers, fresh political attention, selective document releases or claims of releases change the fight from law to narrative. What stands out to me is not Ilhan Omar as a person, but this situation reveals much deeper fractures inside the African and Black diaspora. This conversation isn't about a marriage certificate. It's about trust, representation, and accountability. For many Africans watching from the outside, especially those who followed immigration rules and paid heavy costs or endured years of uncertainty, documentation matters absolutely. So when a public figure becomes associated with a documentation or with documentation controversies, even at the level of allegations, it touches a nerve, not because people wanted to fall, but because they know the system doesn't forgive mistakes equally. Be a friend of the US, they wouldn't mind about it. Go against the American government and you're in deep, deep shit. I wouldn't like to add on what Trump says at the end of that word. At the same time, I also see the other side. Ilhan Omar represents something powerful. A former refugee rising to Congress, challenging US power, speaking for marginalized people. For many Somalis and progressives, attacks on her often feel racialized, Islamophobic, and politically motivated. And history gives them a good reason to be defensive. You get that? Yeah. So why are Africans divided over this? Why are Africans divided? Because solidarity breaks down when people feel spoken for but not spoken with. Some Africans don't feel represented by Somali political advocacy in the US. Deportation debates, Others feel their struggles are selectively highlighted or erased. And when deportations intensify, fear makes people retreat into ethnic lines instead of shared African identity. What troubles me the most is this. When we reduce issues to Ilhan Omar, to what Ilhan Omar did, X or Y, we miss the bigger picture. So what is the bigger picture? The question is, why is African unity so fragile in moments of crisis? But is this a crisis? You're yet to tell me. Why do we demand perfection from some leaders and blind loyalty from others? Why? And why does the system benefit when Africans argue? Why does the system benefit when Africans argue among themselves? So is this a push narrative, or is it a vision, or is it something going on beneath the sheets? Okay, my position is simple. You can question public controversies without character assassination, support due process without blind defense, critique political representation without turning it into ethnic warfare. If Africans can't have nuanced conversations about power, accountability, and unity, then deportation policies will keep separating us while we argue online on social media just like this. And that's exactly what the system wants. Okay. Let me be clear. This conversation is not about attacking Ilhan Omar as a person. It's about this moment. It's about what this moment reveals inside the African diaspora. Okay? What is the truth? What is the gist of the matter? For many Africans, documentation is not a small issue. It is survival. It's visas, asylum, school, work, and literally everything. You don't want to be thrown back into the shithole empty-handed. It's hotter than when you first left it. Remember, you've been to the cool environs of the US and you get back to the hot Africa. Okay. Ilhan Omar represents a refugee success story, a Muslim woman in Congress, and someone who challenges US power. And historically, attacks on her would have been political and Islamophobic. So why is African support divided? As a matter of fact. Why? Because, like I said, solidarity breaks when people feel represented for, but not with. Okay? Yeah, drop in your comment as we go on this. So, how do we go about this now? Here we go. Ash. My screen is getting a little bit affected, but let's just roll with right now with what is here. I'm going to give you some points to show that this is not an isolated incident. There are some cases where Somalis have been implicated in certain things. Here, I'm going to give you this. First of all, okay? The last point brings us to the second part of the question. 10 documented negative acts by individuals of Somali origins, defendants in the US. I'm not trying to racially or to justify something. I'm not trying to demonize Somalis. But because even Africans, also other African nationalities do this. But right now, the limelight is specifically on Somalis. And I'm not trying to attack, but let me just get this thing clear. Like I said before, it would have been good for Ilhan Omar to apologize to the American government on behalf of Somalis for the fraud issues dealing. I mean, she has been kind of pushing for against territory, because if they say billions of dollars are unaccounted for, and they kind of go through Somali pipelines and have been traced back into Africa, I mean, that's really not very, very comfortable. You understand, eh? Because when you get to the US, you're meant to become an American and abide by the law and basically live the American dream. Because America is known as a land of opportunity, the land of dreams, the land which is full of fantasy and basically a getaway from the harsh life of the rest of the world. You should remember that these guys, not to condemn them, these Americans have built their nation based on Christian doctrine. And most of us who are out there, some of us are actually there with Islamic background, showing that, well, the Islam regimes have failed to uphold their principles of life and governance, and currently they are more going into setups which are run by Christians or which are built on Christian fundamentals. Does it show a weakness in religion, or does it show a weakness in upholding religious values by different individuals, or is it a character issue? And I don't want to character assassinate anybody on this. Okay. Do not take this personal. This is purely entertainment. Okay. These are criminal prosecutions or the Department of Justice FBI actions, not collective indictments of people. Many other community members are law-abiding. Many other Somali community members are law-abiding. So this is not to target a community. But let's just do a quick one. A very, very quick one on this. I love Somalis. And by the way, at the end of the day, I want Somalis to really get back and develop Africa, because these are the best brains, some of the best brains. I mean, there are many Africans who are sharp, like Congolese, Somalis, Nigerians. You've seen the best of them. Most of them are out there. Some of you like entertainment, like Wizkid and every other kind of thing. But right now, let's look at Somalis. Okay. So what are Somali 10 cases that have kind of been featured in the US public that people don't usually know? Okay. Let's say feeding our future fraud, the COVID school meal fraud. Dozens indicted in a scheme that allegedly stole hundreds of millions. Multiple are guilty, pleas and indictments. The Department of Justice press releases dozens of cases in U.S. Attorney's Office, and District of Minnesota has many Somalis implicated in fraud. This is the Department of Justice. Official documentation shows that there are millions that have been siphoned, millions of dollars. So this is not just another attack on Obama or on every person who is Islamic, no. Or just because of skin color, no. or because of nationality? No, because there are Somalis who have kept a clean sheet out there. And in my next appearance, I'll tell you the list of top 20 Somalis who have kept their sheet clean and are really doing well everything and abiding by the American laws without any links to fraud. So do not take this as a community target or racial kind of bias. No. In 2009, Minneapolis terror indictments indicate that 8 men charged with conspiracy to provide material support for terrorists. This was a Department of Justice release in 2009. Okay? 2010 indictments for supporting Al-Shabaab. Multiple indictments unsealed, charging individuals with providing money, personnel to Somalia-based Al-Shabaab. Department of Justice in 2010. All these basically have sources. And then in 2015, Texas sentencing. A Somali-born man sentenced to 15 years for aiding Al-Shabaab. This was this appeared in a Reuters report, Reuters in 2015. And then Minnesota, ISIS plotting convictions in 2016. 3 Somali American men convicted for conspiring to join ISIS in Syria. The Guardian newspaper reported this in 2016. FBI's most wanted, Laiban Haji Muhammad, a naturalized U.S. citizen born in Somalia, named on FBI's most wanted terrorist list for aiding Al-Shabaab. That was an FBI announcement. And then number 7, smaller scale frauds tied to housing and benefits. Recent Minnesota prosecutions and reporting show individuals charged with Medicaid, housing fraud linked to the broader fraud investigations. U.S. and National Reporting Department of Justice sources. All those are documents. Man, it's getting hot in here. Let me just wipe here. Africa is a bit hot. And all this is not to say anything bad. I'm just saying what I'm reading. Money wiring, money laundering probes. Treasury financial investigations have flagged some remittance business for suspicious activity tied to transfers abroad. Investigations are ongoing. This was reported by Associated Press and Treasury announcements. Individual violent crime prosecutions involving Somali origin defendants. Local news and Department of Justice releases documents isolated cases of violent crime. These are prosecuted like any other criminal matter. It's not a big deal. There are many people in the US who are born American nationals, and they're busy shooting tens of people or a few individuals, an handful dead by, So this is not just isolated Somalia. So Somalia shouldn't think I'm trying to target them. In instances of alleged immigration-related fraud, individual filings, allegations and inquiries about past forms and marriages have been raised repeatedly in public debate. Fact checks, documents, claims, and pushbacks. So this has all been happening. So I'm not trying to accuse Somalis of being what? Of being criminals. Because all nationals can be criminals, any nationals, unless only the dead, who may not be able to sin because they are dead and they are bound in the grave. You never know anyway. Sometimes people see ghosts. I'm trying to get rid of this. I'm losing my line. Let me just call somebody seated across. Keith Enoch. I'm losing my track here. I'm losing my screen here. Could you please come up and just help me here with your Finese? Keith Enoch, bro, can you just help me? Keith Enoch, can you just help me? I'm losing my screen here. As you're going on here. And Keith Enoch. Keith, hello? Yo, Bobby, Bill, Clinton. Yeah, Clinton, can you please come? Clinton, can you please help me? Yeah, I can see you behind the machines. Papa, rapapapa, 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 parapa,